Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and I'm excited to bring you episode 6 of Wine and BBQ. It's a show that I co host with Aaron Fegis from Fegis Barbecue in Houston, Texas. They have a location in Spring Branch, which has a curated wine menu, and then they also have their previous location, their first location in Greenway Plaza. And I always put links below to both those places. And we are so excited to have Rajat Parr on from Phelan Farms in Cambria, California. He has a number of other wine projects. He is world renowned for his abilities as a sommelier, and now he has shifted gears, still in the wine business. He's a farmer now. He and his partner handle from beginning to end, and their first bottling is coming out. I'll put a link below to their order form where you could order by the bottle or in groups that they've put together. But this one is fantastic. Since the very beginning, when Aaron and I started the show, Rajat was somebody that we wanted to talk to because of his knowledge, because of his passion, and because he's such a great guy. So when I reached out to him, he wanted to focus more on farming because that is what he does. And the pandemic, he gets into it how he went deeper into farming. This is great because I think that you guys will learn so much about farming. I didn't know much about farming and the way that they handle their farming, the way that they do their farming. He goes into things such as dry farming, regenerative farming, not using pesticides, working on the soil and how important the soil is, and having animals involved. It's complex and wonderful. And I know that after you listen to this portion with Raj, you're going to have a lot more knowledge when it comes to what he is doing with his farming and his connection with nature and his connection with the soil. So this one's awesome. I don't want to take up too much time. So one big thing that's happening with Fegis is they are available on Goldbelly. They have never had that before. They'll be shipping all of their meats as well as sides, and sides they've never shipped before on Goldbelly. I'll put a link below to their page for Goldbelly. They also have special packages with Goldbelly. And then on their original website, you can still order online for the restaurant as well as merchandise. But all the food that you'll be shipping nationwide will be available at Goldbelly. So that's really cool. They also have a special Frito Pie that Patrick has been working on the recipe for what Aaron says is years. So that's killer. That's awesome. I can't wait to try that. They also have bowls at both locations. They have the Fegis bowl at both locations, as well as the Chef's bowl, additionally at the Spring Branch location. And Erin gives a special way to order, or the way that she likes to order it, which is a way that a lot of people have been ordering it. So check the latter part of this interview for that portion. They also have barbecue classes, which is something they've never done before. It's already sold out for the one that's coming up. And they're small classes, 12 people only. So that way you get a more intimate and hands-on approach to what they're doing. There's going to be another one after they've received feedback from this first one. So if you're interested, sign up for the newsletter or email springbranch@fegisbbq.com to get on a wait list. It's announced in the newsletter before it gets announced social media wise. So most of the people that signed up for the 12 spots were from the newsletter. And we talk about a couple rosés. It's a great episode. I know you're going to enjoy it. I can't thank Raj enough for taking the time to sit down with Aaron and I, because it's really special to have a chance to talk with him. And if you're in Houston or traveling to Houston, make sure you visit both the Spring Branch and the Greenway Plaza location. Very quickly, I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. I update it all the time, tons of stuff. If you're enjoying these, please subscribe. At the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint.
So I'd love for you to kind of introduce yourself, Raj. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'd love to talk about some of the projects that you do. A lot of wine projects. You've been in the wine world for a long time. What are some of the things that you are currently most excited about? And we'd love to learn as much about them as we can.
So I'm based in Cambria, California. It's on California coast. I've lived in California since '96. Started as a sommelier in San Francisco, and then started a few wine labels with my partner Sashi Mormon. We have Sandy, started in '09, Domaine de la Cove we started in 2011, and then Evening Land we took over in 2014. So those three is something I've been focused on the last decade or so, and they continue to thrive, and thanks to all the support, and everything is going pretty well, and even though we've had these crazy couple of years. And then during the pandemic, I kind of since no one's traveling, I'm like, I really wanted to get deeper in connection with nature, and so I decided to farm a property which we used to lease for Sandy, and then I personally leased it, and it's in Cambria. It's this little canyon where I am currently, and we have 11 and a half acres of vines and half an acre of apples, and this is where I spend most of my time, most of my days. I do go back and forth to Lompoc, where the other wineries are, and Oregon less so, but I'm here, and we focus on some eclectic, I would say, or some unusual varieties for California. They don't grow. And then I kind of, institute regenerative farming, try to be as connected with nature as possible in this little kind of place, which is in the wilderness and in between these hills and forests. Yeah.
You mentioned the varietals that you guys are working with, and I did some research. So a lot of stuff, a lot of Jura influence. So tell me a little bit about that. Are those grapes that you're interested in, or did you just think they would do really well there?
Yeah, both. I thought I was interested in them, and I really wanted to have them here. And this place also is unusual because it's July right now, and it's 59 degrees outside right now. It's foggy. It was almost like a wet drizzle this morning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a place that you could grow these varieties. It never gets too hot, or it's also doesn't get that cold. We get to freezing, but it's not. There's no snow because we're only 3.5 miles from the ocean. So it has a kind of a very extreme and cool climate, and these varieties do well. It's also very challenging to farm the way, with the holistic methods we use. We don't use any chemicals or anything. We don't really use any sulfur in our farming. So it's because of the weather, it's kind of more challenging than some other places I've been here. And yeah, the varieties, there's some varieties I brought over, and then some have been in California for 100 years, like Trousseau and Mondouse. These are varieties have been in California, and then some that haven't been, like Pulsard and Sauvignon and Mencia, which is from Spain. Yeah, there's an eclectic mix of different things, which I love. And we make small amounts of these wines, and we're about to release our first vintage.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite grape?
The favorite grape always becomes the most challenging grape you have to farm. So, the one which really makes you sweat, and that's Pulsard. It's a grape that originated in a small town in the Jura, and yeah, it's truly gives you sleepless nights. And we have a little bit. We only have less than a half an acre, but I was just there this morning.
And what's I apologize. What's the Jura? Where is the Jura?
Jura is in France.
I know it's in France, but what's the area like?
It's not far from Burgundy, so in the center. It's just not far from the Alps, actually.
Okay.
And it's a kind of it's not super hilly, but there's have you ever had Comté cheese?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
So
I used to be a cheese master or cheese.
Great.
Monger.
That's Comté comes from the Jura.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
Comté and Mondor. So yeah, so it's of course more known for its cheese, and if they make a straw wine, they can make a little yellow wine they call Vengeance.
I've heard
oxidative. So that's what they're more famous for.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then they also have other varieties like Sauvignon, Pulsard, and Trousseau, and those are less known because the most the stuff that leaves and all these are very small vineyards and mostly available just out there in France.
And where you are in Cambria, that's for people that on the coast in California, there's Hearst Castle, San Simeon. You're east of that, right?
Yeah, so we are basically right now, as we said, it's a 5-minute drive to Hearst Castle.
Okay.
I guess I gotta go to the coast, but the crow flies, maybe this property actually used to be the property extended all the way to Hearst Castle where we are right now.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
yeah, so we're on the coast, 3.5 miles from the ocean. Yeah.
The last episode we recorded was with Billy Durney, and we talked quite a bit about Jura. We talked about you.
We talked about a lot of stuff, so that
we talked about a lot of stuff, but Jura, and sorry for calling you out on that, Kevin, but
that's okay. You should.
No, like we were talking about some of the regions that we're most excited about, and Billy's been traveling, he's traveled a lot. So a lot of his wine experiences are very tangible because it's like him going and visiting places. And that's really where his excitement stems from. And so we were talking about, planning a trip to the Jura. I'm still waiting for that one to happen.
Yeah. It's a kind of a sleepy little place because it's not well known because there's not a lot of commerce there. It's just a small town. Main town is Arbois, and they have a nice chocolatier, and they have some chocolate and then some cheese places, and there's not that many tasting rooms, and it's it reminds me of maybe Burgundy 25 years ago. Even so of course now Burgundy is at a different level, and Bajura is very small, kind of very rural, and
I want to talk about farming, and I want to continue talking, but I'm curious because you were born in India, right?
Yeah.
Now, your path could have gone, like, do you ever think about like your path could have gone everyone's path? Like I always think about our past and our choices that we made.
Yeah.
Do you think back, like, what would you, if you had stayed in India, do you think you'd even be involved with wine at all, or you'd probably something creative, right?
Yeah, no. Since I was maybe 10 years old, I wanted to be with food, so I wanted to be a chef. So my cousins had restaurants, and I knew I was in the restaurant world. I just didn't know about wine. I didn't really have wine until I was 20 when I was in England. So yeah, could have gone completely the other way, but I knew I would have been in hospitality.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you know that? Do you remember that epiphany, that wine that you had that made you go on this path?
I know the epiphany wine, but I didn't. That was after I started working at Rubicon in '96. But I was a bar back then. I knew I was interested in wine, but I just didn't know. I'd never had the profound wine, and that's when I had it. And I was like, this is kind of wine. I can't even believe wine can taste like this. So it was more about the curiosity of wine. I still get super curious. I buy more wine than I need to. I oftentimes, like it's often you open a bottle of wine and you have a glass or two, and you're like, I can't do the whole bottle, or three at some time. So you taste it, and then you're like, okay, there we go. It's gonna go down the drain.
You came up in San Francisco primarily. That's where you got a lot of your wine and hospitality experience, correct?
Yeah, I lived there from 96 till I moved out to the end of 2013.
Some of the restaurants you were working in, I was in culinary school around that time, like early 2000s. We would save up all of our money for like 6 months and then go eat. Like the fifth floor was a big deal. We went there, and I was working at Jamba Juice on Church and Market. So like to save up for that meal took a lot of time, but I was just reading some of the places you've been, because I've known who you are for a long time, but I didn't know so much about your early background. And I'm like, we were probably eating there while he was working there. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's been a really, amazing journey to kind of being at the right place. I guess I don't know. I just was lucky. Just got kind of lucky that it happened that way. You many blunders made en route, but mostly everything just it was kind of funny how we are now from just from 3 years ago. It's such a departure of a normal life for many of us.
Yeah.
Well, and something that really touched on me when I read, because we interviewed Jordan, and during this for this book, it said that he said that you have almost a photographic memory. Do you feel like you have that? About varietals and wine and terroir? And
I guess so, but I back then I used to practice also. I used to really kind of make an effort to focus a lot about it, write a lot of notes, and
that makes sense.
Now I can I remember from just last season, I look at the grapes. This looked different last year, or this plant was, I can tell you how each plant has been different over the last 3 years rather than seeing the wine. So yeah, I don't do that much blind tasting anymore, and you lose practice also. It's something you do, and we used to do a lot of blind tasting, and now it's sometimes I go to a restaurant, some friends of mine will pour me something and tell me what it is, and you're like, and it's much harder now than it was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, just because there's so many different wines now.
I was going to
There's so
say
many
that. I would think so.
places you would have wines from all over the place. And back in the day, it was just the classics.
And people
Yeah.
like you growing different grapes in areas that probably
Right.
you weren't that weren't there before.
Yeah, that too. So
Experimenting. And with what you're doing now, how are you happier as a farmer? And because you said I was looking at the website about 5 years ago that you really got into farming.
Yeah, 5 years ago, but mostly it was only been 2 years because I've been doing it. When you are telling someone what to do in a vineyard or a farm, it's not exactly like when you do it yourself.
True.
Right. And like if you and nothing against someone who wants to start a farm and have a consultant or two to kind of tell them what to do. And in this case, I just jumped in. I'm like, I have no idea what to do, but if I read enough books and talk to enough people and hear lots of podcasts, hopefully I can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also on a budget, it's like so it's been a really fun ride. It's been very humbling as always. You're working with Mother Nature, so it's you're always number two. So you have to always remember that.
But to respect that,
you do not, especially in the farming we do. We don't impose our will on something. We let everything live, and we kind of just dance along, and hopefully we can stay caught up.
What is dry farming? I'm sorry, Aaron.
Dry farming is when we don't irrigate. California, it's unusual because vines need water, and in California, as you know, it doesn't really rain much between May and October, and we have irrigations set up, but we haven't used it in a number of years now. There's no water at all, nothing.
Nature's water.
We don't.
Well, I guess where you are, because I'm in Los Angeles, we get 2 days of rain a year, so it's.
Yeah, no, it rains here. We get 25 inches of rain a year, so it's no, but I was looking at the plants today, and I'm like, yeah, these could use some water. I'm like, I just let them be. It'll produce a smaller crop. The canopy is smaller. It is what it is. We try to stay on path of keeping a cover crop and trying. There's enough rain, I think. Mm-hmm. So you can always have more.
So what's been the most challenging part of the farming process for you?
Everything. but honestly, I think it's the mildew pressure right now. So mildew is a airborne fungal infection, mm-hmm. which spreads in temperatures between 60 and 65 and 75 degrees, 60 to 70 degrees, and at a high moisture level. And here, being by the coast, we're always in that zone. And it can be treated by, a systemic, it's like, I would say, if it's like, if you have a headache, you decide to drink water and maybe have an herbal tea or something, or you decide to have an Advil. Mm-hmm.
So it's that,
and that's the difference. If you here we don't spray anything. We could spray other things, but we don't.
Yeah.
We spray mostly compost tea, and when it gets bad, we'll use lupin extract and that kind of stuff. We used milk last year, so that's been the most challenging thing to keep up with that. Cause it's scary because it comes really fast, and it could take out a large part of the vineyard.
So the grapes are getting too much moisture, and the roots are potentially not getting enough.
No, yeah, roots get enough, and it's just when the moisture they stay on the vine longer. And basically, okay, so you have good microbes and bad microbes, bacteria, fungi, and mildew is considered in the bad camp. But we have plenty of good guys. So we always hope that the good guys outcompete the bad guys. And mildew is one of the bad guys. So we don't want to like necessarily kill the mildew. We're going to keep the mildew at bay and let the good guys get stronger on the leaves.
Yeah.
So on the canopy, on the grapes, because they move really fast and they like this cloudy weather we have right now, and they like to be in this. We have 90% humidity right now. There's no sunshine. So but once if it becomes above 85, 90 degrees, mildew is gone. It gets burnt off. But we don't always get that in July. So but our idea here again is to focus on the plant and make the plant stronger. So we are using lots of compost extracts in the vines, and we are using lots of herbal remedies trying to keep the plant stronger. So it's like our immune system, keeping our immune system stronger. So when we eat something or drink something which is maybe harmful, our natural immune system will fight back. So keep our microbiome strong. So same thing in the plant.
Yeah.
So we keep them strong.
So you talked about the regenerative farming, use examples like you guys aren't using sulfur. Explain a little bit of what that means specific for you guys on your farm.
Yeah, regenerative farming is basically that there are different pillars of regenerative farming, and of course organic is the basic. So no synthetic applications in the vineyard, no tilling. So we don't plow the land. We let the cover crop retain the moisture, and again keep the activity, the microbacterial activity happening under the ground. And then we use animals. So we have sheep living in the vineyard in the off season, after picking and before around bud break. And then we have chickens, and those are kind of the basics of regenerative farming. So we regenerate and try to focus on soil health. That's a number one. I think even thinking of now, the wine we produce is maybe a secondary objective. The primary objective is to regenerate the soil, and since we are in a kind of a forest situation here, so the idea is to mimic nature as much as possible. So we don't cut any of the vines, we don't trim them, we don't. We do plenty because human interference is important in a vineyard, because vines grow wild and then they kind of also have all the other issues. So, we prune and shoot thinning, and those are all. That's all human intervention, but we try to stay as close to nature as possible.
There's mention of two farmers that are sort of mentors, or that you've looked. There's Masanobu Fukuoka, and then Dr. Elaine Ingham.
Yeah, both of them very. Fukuoka's idea is natural farming, so same kind of regenerative idea, and he believed that Mother Nature will take care of the plants you grow, and you don't have to intervene with, like irrigation or different things. So that he truly believed in that. And he's written several books, and he's he was in Japan when he lived, and his farm is still there. And many people have kind of, even in India where I'm from, and other parts of the world, people have kind of taken the idea of that. And regenerative farming is kind of the same similar kind of idea.
Okay.
Though he didn't have animals, the only thing he didn't have, which is I guess where he was. And Dr. Elaine Ingham, she has a soil food web, and she is explaining what really is happening with the microbes, with the bacteria, fungi, and how they kind of help the plant, and very much like anti systemic herbicides, pesticides, and there's many people who are like that, but I kind of follow her idea more because she is again on soil health, and really to increase our good guys, the good microbes under the vine and really keeping the plant healthy and working with nature and not changing the path. So they both have been instrumental. I still listen to as many podcasts as Dr. Elaine Ingham has. I've been lucky to speak with her, and of course, I've read all the books.
She has a great website too. I looked at it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, website, and we have some friends who taken the course, and we work with one person who works there closely. It's very, it's amazing. Is the one thing you learn is patience. It's like you can't rush it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's something we've been so fast, in my previous life. Fast. Let's go here. Let's fly here. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
With growing things, everything is slow.
Well, and with COVID, I'm sorry, with the pandemic, and then with what you're doing now, your lifestyle, even though you said you were up at 6 a.m, but it's a different lifestyle than you had before.
Oh, 100%. That's so different, always traveling and one meal to the next bottle to the next destination. And those were thrilling days. But here, waking up and, checking on your plants. And when you have you have a little mildew outbreak, you're checking on all the babies, make sure they all are kind of okay. You're like, I know you got, it's like, oh yeah, you got a little cold there, you got a little fever there. It's okay, it'll take care of itself. Like things like that. Things we think about, because plants are very much in the same pattern as us humans. We just can walk around and have a different consciousness, but every plant has a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. I believe every variety has a consciousness. There's been many studies done on this, so it's very, I see it. I see how you see a plant and this is it's a weak plant and it's struggling, and then you have to kind of work with them and prune them differently, and maybe do different soil applications there with compost teas and extracts, and give them the best chance to revive.
Well, there's been studies that trees communicate with each other.
100% trees communicate. Well, that's like, I think that's special, because our vineyards, most of the vineyards are surrounded by trees, in some cases in its entirety. And it's
all connected, not like it's fascinating. I interrupted you, Erin. I'm sorry.
No, I love this. I was gonna just say, we're a wine and barbecue podcast, and one of the things that it kind of comes up a lot, I think, in every episode, because it's just the foundation of what barbecue is, but it's so similar to wine, particularly farming, but even the wine making process, because barbecue, it slows you down. Like, I'm a chef. I come from a fast-paced background. When you work in kitchens and restaurants, everything's about go, 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 go. And then I entered the barbecue world, and everything is like, pause.
Take the time.
Take some time. You find your mind for a minute. You make decisions, and those decisions have outcomes that you won't understand for hours. Obviously, in the vineyard, we're talking days, weeks, months before you realize if your decision was good or bad. But it's this really interesting way of just slowing down. And I think that's what people really like about barbecue, whether you do it professionally or you do it at home, is because it's in the same way that farming and anything does, it forces you to pause. And there's something very peaceful about that pause.
Yeah. No, it's so, the previous home I lived in, I was renting from a friend of a friend, and they had a fireplace, and I used to cook in the fireplace every day, anything, vegetables or fish or birds, whatever. I would exclusively cook that, and I would cook, use the stove a little bit, but I mean, it was just a different experience,
Mm-hmm.
And now that we don't have the fireplace, I just, it just feels so different. Cooking in an oven or on a stovetop, the experience is so different. And I look forward to returning to cooking or a fireplace, just to kind of like, and we were like blessed being in this forest here. We used to make, I used to get wood myself, and
Mm-hmm.
cut the wood, take the wood home, hold the burner, everything. oak. We had, we only use the trees that fell down, and we have tons of oak here
Lots
and
of oak
willow
up there,
here.
yeah.
So, yeah, so it was really an experience to kind of really, have your own pile of wood, and you make your own,
Yeah.
build a fireplace, build a fire, and then you cook on it. So it was an experience. You started, get home, the first thing okay, and it's always cold in Cambria, so a fireplace in July is not unusual.
I need to move to Cambria. It's
I'm
always,
like, it's over 100 degrees in Houston right now.
yeah, it's like 98 right now. That's already.
Yeah, no, we have no, it's amazing. No,
Central Coast is beautiful. It's
yeah, no air conditioning needed, no anything. And here in this little kind of canyon, there's no phone or internet, so there's one little spot here right now.
Are you close to Piedrasassi?
Yeah, so that's my partner Sashi and Melissa. It's their
Really?
label. Yeah. So those wines are made in the same place as Sandy and Domingo de la Côte, Lompoc. Everything is made there. So definitely been connected.
We had the Santa Rita Hills Syrah, I think it was the 2017.
Oh, yeah.
We had that on our, so I own a barbecue restaurant with a very small wine menu. So we had 12 wines on our menu. Everything was by the glass except for the Piedrasassi. We were offering that by the bottle only. And it was gone too quickly. I know, limited production. So waiting until I can get some back. Yeah. It was a very beautiful wine. And it was one of the only wines we had on our list where I didn't really know a lot personally about the people behind it. Although I am familiar with Sashi, so I don't know how I didn't know that connection, but I just loved it's very similar to what you speak of, just the earth and being really respectful of, what nature is providing and what nature has intended for things. And I loved the fact that they also, have a bakery and that there was this food.
Yeah.
There was this, really like rustic food element to, what was being done.
Yeah, no, Sashi is an amazing cook, and we both come with cooking backgrounds, and bread, which is the simplest thing, but the most complex thing. Mm-hmm. Another form of fermentation. And I mean, all this cooking, it's all fermentation. Barbecues, all the slow cooking and marinade or whatever, however you want to do it. It's definitely all in the same spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still waiting for Jordan to write a book on barbecue and wine pairing, because I was trying to convince him. I see you've written all these books. You should definitely have. I told him, I said, we should go on tour and do like a little, why the best wines to have at barbecue. And there's
Aaron and I would love to tag along.
Yeah, I'll be part of that.
There's specific wines. You think about like what really works, the nuance, because sometimes when you cook with fire, on open fire with smoke, people think, oh yeah, only need smoky wine, and they forget the other complexity and the level of acidity the food has, and it's not just, people always just put like, oh yeah, have big wine and that'll be what's best with barbecue, and it's definitely not the case.
Yeah, Aaron's open my eyes to that for sure.
It's funny because this is one of the wines I pulled to talk about today. This is Reserva from Chocolate in northern Spain. So we just put this on our list and we can talk about it more later. But it's a really light-bodied wine, and it's a great barbecue pairing. And I've always wondered, there's a reason beyond just the scientific understanding of something. And it occurred to me that a lot of the really good food in northern Spain is really simple, and it's cooked over a direct flame. It's a wood fire. So of course, the wine in that region would lend itself to that style of cuisine. So it kind of, in some ways, just makes perfect sense, even though it's not a straight line to get there when somebody is looking for something big and bold. And you're like, well, that's not really what we have on our menu, because we've found great pairings that are not necessarily big and bold and that have a lot of character and story behind them. I like Roseball a lot. It's one of my, nice. I'm glad we could get that one on.
In terms of freshness. Yeah.
Super fresh, like strawberry fruit, a lot of salinity from the ocean. Are you guys seeing that in your wines because you're right there on the coast? Do you get
Oh
some of
yeah,
that
for sure.
salinity? Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely feel. We can't see the ocean from here, but if I just climb up the hill, the ocean's right behind us. So this morning it was completely fogged in. It's still foggy right now.
But you're getting salinity in your wine then, I guess. Is that with that? I'm
Yeah,
so naive to
it's
that.
kind of it's kind of an umami flavor more. If you measure the salt content, of course, there isn't any, and we've done that. But you get that kind of, also in July, something to, if you drive, next time you're driving by the ocean, if you look out, you see blooming kelp.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically kelp which comes up, floats on top, and it's blooming, and then it gets heavy and settles back down. And it happens in July, and that's when the grapes are also ripening and turning, end of July, early August, maybe turning to red from over the veraison period, and you get those flavors in the wine sometimes.
So what is a day like? You said you were up at 6. What's a usual day for you now?
Well, usually up at 5:30, make coffee, and kind of depends if the dog is up, we'll take her for a walk, and then here by 6:30, and then just because work in the mines, and just depends on here till probably 3, 4, and then back by 5, and go home, and I don't know, cook dinner, and maybe see if you feel like answering a couple emails or not, and that happens maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week, but very little time in front of a screen.
That's good.
And then back to bed at like 9:30, and then repeat.
But you have harvest coming up, right? When's harvest generally for you?
Here in Cambria, maybe early this year, maybe. I'm saying this now, but I have no idea. Maybe last year we started on the 16th of September,
okay,
ended on October 22nd. This year, maybe earlier, maybe a week earlier, maybe. Just depends on how it happens in the next 6 weeks.
And is that special drinking wine that you brought to, like, your hands were in the dirt all the way to making it? Like, what is that? That's different than buying the juice and doing it, or even just going to a restaurant? So
it's just kind of still surreal, because when you are physically involved in every process of from pruning, and we also bottle the wine by hand, we label by hand. Everything is a deep connection. So when you taste it or drink it or share it, it's always like
it's visceral. It's a big
connection. Yeah.
That's something a lot of people don't get to do, which is a lot of people. Yeah, most people, but most people too that make wine aren't necessarily farming too. There's a difference, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I've thought of that. My family does not come from a farming background, and also cultural ideas, and where you are in Europe, there's much more of a cultural connection of being the vigneron, being the one in the vineyard, and then making the wine, and that's the life. And maybe in a fast-paced life in the West, here we may not think of that. Oh yeah, so we are just, maybe it's okay to buy grapes, and maybe it's okay to have someone do. It's just different. I think it's maybe cultural. For me, honestly, if the pandemic hadn't happened, I might not have been on this path. I don't know.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Because you get a couple of wake-up calls in your life, and you're like, all right, and you kind of ignore most of them, and you hope you take the ones that matter the most. So yeah, I mean, it's a true blessing to be able to farm and to make the wine, and to then kind of spread around, because it
Mhm.
is something, which is because also the way our planet's going right now, we have, so many things are just not going the right way. So it's just the way, environmentally speaking, and the global health of the soil, and
Yeah, it's scary.
everyone should have a plant or two or five, or a little garden, and avoid spraying anything which is toxic, and grow a few things, because we can't always just rely on home delivery, or whatever is easy to get in the market. Just some herbs or small tomato plant or anything.
Yeah, no, and I noticed too when I just get a little north of Los Angeles how many trees there are, and where I live, you have to find the trees. It's really sad.
Yeah, but what's interesting about Los Angeles, and I started making wine last year from vineyards in Cucamonga, southeast Los
Oh,
Angeles.
yeah.
But most people don't know that Pasadena was almost all vineyards.
I didn't know that.
So if you look at the logo of Los Angeles, there's the vines, the cluster of grapes. That was American wine.
Huh.
There was no Napa Sonoma in the 1800s. So I still make wine. This year I'm going to make wine from vineyards in Cucamonga, planted over 100 years ago. Dry farmed, organic, nothing sprayed. There are not many left, but that's really was the center of American wine. There's a book written on it.
What were those original grapes?
They were mission grape, also referred to as Pais, P-A-I-S.
Yeah, Chilean.
And yeah, it's all mission. We in the TTB here lets us use mission grape and not Pais, but same thing. And then Palomino. There's Grenache. There's, of course, Zinfandel, Rosa Peru, all these varieties.
Wow.
Alicante Boucher. So I have a small space in Los Angeles. I'll be making some wine in August from grapes from this area. I have a small label called Scythian Wine Company, and that's going to be focusing only on the old vines of Cucamonga.
I love that.
That's really cool. So a lot of those grapes they sound Spanish, right? Like
it's all it's all of these kind of came around the world, but Portuguese. They've had of course in the islands, in Tenerife, like the grape, mission grape. The real name is Listan Preto. And so they're planted everywhere from the Canary Islands to parts of Spain. Of course, these grapes were easy to transport. They were planted in Chile and Bolivia and Mexico, Argentina, all the way up, and they all kind of came up from South America and started planting these varieties. Of course, north of Mexico was Baja California and Los Angeles, San Diego. That's Temecula. So there's a long history of these grapes being around, longer than Cabernet and Pinot Noir, because those grapes wouldn't last, because they used to basically take cuttings of vines and plant them around as they were keep going up north. So these vines are all the way up to in Amador. The oldest surviving vineyard producing grapes today is the Diva Ranch in 1854. They've been making the same. Wow. Same mission grape. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. It gets really, really hot here, but it would have to be a grape that could survive this temperature. But it wasn't as hot 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's also something, grapes can last, depending on the variety, can survive this heat. Not all. If you find Pinot Noir, it won't last more than a year or two or three. But these varieties, these mission grapes and Alicante Boucher and these varieties, they've because it gets as hot in the south of France or south of Spain. They grow grapes in Algeria. It's been happening. It's just some varieties are destined to be in certain places.
Did you make any mistakes? The other grapes that you tried to grow that didn't work where you are?
No, so far so good. Some are harder than others. Some need more patience. One variety here, which it's too cool for that variety here, so it likes more sun. So it's okay. Yeah, needs a little more attention
Yeah.
and be more patient. And yeah.
And you probably have the knowledge as opposed to me just going to plant to plant somewhere. You actually knew kind of what probably would work in a certain area. And is it called Phelan Farms or Phelan Farms or?
Yeah, Phelan Farms.
Phelan Farm, yeah. Of the two pronunciations, I got both right, both wrong. And I want to let people know, because right now on your website you can purchase bottles, and then you have packs, right? Some multi packs.
Yeah. It's we only make I think it's 1,500 cases, and most of it is available on the website. And yeah, it's the family has been here since 1851. So of course there was a cattle. They still have cattle here.
What's the apple grape juice, the baby bottle?
I was wondering.
Yeah. So I planted a small apple orchard here. And before my apples came to, 3-4 years to get a crop off it. So I bought some apples from Santa Cruz. Yeah, so co-fermentation of apples and grapes. And it tastes more like wine than apple cider, but it's 80% apples, and then I re-ferment the grapes after their first fermentation with the apples and press it and age it in barrels. Yeah.
And it's on the list. I'll put a link it to everyone below.
Bottle Baby. Yeah. Bottle Baby is the little sheep on the label. He was a sheep I rescued since he was 1 day old, and he lived in my house, and I bottle fed him, five times a day for 6 weeks, and now he's a part of the herd. So
it's Bottle Baby, not Baby Bottle. So that's a really great story. So how big's your herd?
We have 8 sheep and a couple of goats now. We have 3, so 11, and 2 big dogs to protect them, and then many chickens. So,
do you guys do cheese? Do you make cheese too?
No, just just keep it.
You're like, I'm pretty busy.
Our neighbors Stepladder cheese. If you haven't had Stepladder cheese, it's amazing cheese. No,
okay, I'll write that down.
I think they sell it in the Hollywood Farmers Market, and no, it's amazing cheese. And they have a nice cheese club. And
is it cow's milk or goat milk?
Cheese. Goat.
Okay.
Goat and cow. They buy the cow's milk, but they have their own goats here.
Okay.
No, they are our neighbors here, so I don't think I ever need to make cheese because they make amazing cheese.
I've always wanted to do a tour from Los Angeles to Oregon, stopping at cheesemakers. I think that would be
yeah.
Is there anything that you want people to know about what you do, or farming, or you obviously don't have a tasting room, so that's not something that people can visit, but they can go online and get your wines. But is there anything we missed?
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot. We can, it's want to keep it easy so I don't get too deep and geeky, and but I hopefully answered most of the questions, and we covered a lot of them things.
I learned a lot already, so I think
I did too, and I'm really excited about some of the projects you have coming up, because you've got a big following. There's everybody in the wine world respects Raj. That's a big thing. So hopefully we can introduce you to some more people that are not necessarily part of the wine world, because part of our viewership is barbecue people that just like imbibing. So we're actually going to be in LA in Capistrano for a barbecue festival in August. So I'm going to have to look out for some of the wine projects you guys are talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let me know. I'll be in around LA in August harvesting. So
that would be great. It would be great if this sparked the barbecue and wine book.
The book.
I would love that. I know Jordan's busy as well, but
speaking of, one last question.
Oh
yeah.
Sorry. Raj, do you have a favorite barbecue restaurant?
I've never. I went to. So I have a friend, Rodney Scott.
just some
Yeah,
unknown.
just
So I've been. I mean, I know there's a lot of places in Texas, and I've known Rodney. Maybe 8-10 years now, and
Mhm.
and and
such a
he's
nice
just a
guy.
great person to be around,
Yeah.
and so that I haven't seen him in a number of years, but we did a couple of events together, and when I travel, I used to go to South Carolina at least once a year minimum.
Yeah.
Uh, but I know there's so many, and I haven't. I've been dying to go to many, but
Have you
anyway.
been to Cold
So,
Springs Tavern?
oh yes, absolutely.
It's tri-tip.
Yeah, yeah,
It's barbecue still. It's
yeah. Yeah,
California food.
I was there every Sunday for, I don't know, almost every Sunday for 6-7 years. I lived in Santa Barbara. I used to go there just to hang out. It's a great vibe. I don't honestly I don't eat that much beef. Just uh, and so I never like go to any steakhouse and stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoy tasting it, but it's not a big part of my diet. So
There's
yeah,
over in
Cold
Ventura,
Springs.
there's a taco place called I think it's called Tacos Cuernavaca. Have you been to it's a really great,
Oh,
it's just like it's in downtown Ventura, like off this beaten path, but it is so if you're ever cruising down towards LA, it's called Cuernavaca. I'll send you a link.
Cuernavaca. Okay,
Cuernavaca, yeah.
Cuernavaca. Oh,
Yeah, and it has a sign that says this isn't fast food. Like it's all like handwritten. It says like, so we take our time and they're all their tacos are and it's not all beef. It's everything.
yeah,
Honestly, and
yeah, yeah.
I would
Everything.
definitely recommend because there's another place in Santa Barbara that's a really good taco place. I'm trying to think on
Yeah, Lily's is really good. Lily's tacos, of course, Super Rica.
Super Rica.
Uh,
That's on the way to
yeah,
the
yeah,
bowl up there. Yeah, I remember. I used
yeah.
to
Yes, I used to live there. I lived there for many years. So it
I
was
dated a girl who lived across the street from the bowl, and so you
there.
could
You go.
hear like Santana coming like down, like it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
amazing. Like you could just open the windows and hear music at night on the nights that there was concerts.
yeah.
It's a little magical
Exactly.
place. A lot of people too, who this is so off topic, but that live in Los Angeles have never even been to Santa Barbara, and I keep thinking that's such a when you get over the hill, the
Yeah.
Camarillo
Wow.
grade, the world changes. It's a different like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, for
you
sure.
breathe like deeper. It's different.
Sure, not special.
But thank you so much for taking the time. I know that
No, of
when
course.
we were talking about starting this because of Aaron's restaurant, and I'll send you
Oh
links
yeah,
just in
yeah,
case because of Aaron and Patrick who have the restaurant and have a wine list, and having a wine list at a barbecue restaurant it's unique. It's very unique and curated
yeah,
especially, and it's very important. The people that the vintners and the farmers, those are very important to Aaron, just like they're really important to you. So we started this because of the barbecue and wine, but it's about the people, and you are someone we really wanted to talk to from day one. So thank you for
great. No, thank you.
taking the time. This is
No, of course.
I'd love to visit you someday, and when my life is different, I'd like to at least if I'm in the area, I'll send you a message.
Yeah,
But
please. Anytime you want.
excellent.
Almost
Well,
always here.
yeah, I think you are. You have no choice. You're part of the land now. You're part of the video.
Yeah.
So let's jump into Fijis and the wines that you're featuring this episode.
Yes. So it is in Houston. We are already in the dog days of summer. It's over 100 degrees. It's been that way. So we're really focusing on some rosés. So we're bringing some new things onto the menu. So I've got this large format. This is a 1 liter bottle of Rosato. This is from Poderi Cellario. This is an Italian rosé.
Okay.
Just so great value because we're selling this large format wine bottle for $30. It's only available by the bottle because it's such a good deal. Why would you want to buy it by the glass? Like,
yeah.
And the idea is really just to kind of promote people to come in with like a group of friends and sit down and have, that bottle of wine and get some barbecue.
And how do you feel like that, how rosé pairs with what you're what they're eating.
So this rosé is, when I tasted it, I was not looking to add a by the bottle rosé, and I was actually just going to replace a wine that we already had, and I was looking at a different wine altogether, which I'm going to go over in a minute. But the flavor profile on this wine is so herbaceous. So it has fruit, it has the qualities that you look for in rosé, but it had this element of like complexity and this herbaceousness, this spice to it. And I was like, this just makes me want to go grab a piece of brisket. And so actually the guy that I was tasting with, I was like, hold on. And I ran to the kitchen and I came back with just like one little strip of brisket. And I said, we have to try this with brisket. And it's just a phenomenal pairing. It goes really well. So I do think this is truly a really good barbecue wine. We are not going to carry this for long. I am committed to having this through the summer months. So I definitely recommend people come out and try it. It's Cheto and Nebiolo. This is from the Lang region in Piemonte in Italy. It's a third generation winemakers. So it's brother and sister. Their last name is Chilario. So, I mean, this really is all in the family, but they're doing really fun stuff. They've got a lot of other wines that they make. Some even, they do quite a few of the other ones in large format, but they are still very committed to, they hand harvest. So they're doing a lot of the things that Raj is talking about, where it's like minimal intervention. Like we want to make good wine, but we want to see what can happen without our hands in every step. So great. I love this wine and I'm super excited about it.
I ordered it and I wasn't here when FedEx came, so I'll try
hopefully
it.
You get it. Yeah.
So hopefully I could taste it prior to doing the intro for this, so that I can tell people too what my thoughts were. So
yeah, and I think you'll really like that. Now that you're hearing me talk about the herbaceous quality, I think that's going to be something that really registers as you're drinking it. And then the other wine, which I talked a little bit about earlier, is the Rezabal. This is from Guitaria in Chocoli in northern Spain. So this is a Basque region wine.
Okay.
And I was introduced to this wine a few years ago at Camerata. You can see the color. It's like a really pale, kind of like peach tone. This wine is full of strawberry notes, full of salt water, really light bodied. It's fresh. I mean, these wines are meant to be consumed right away. They don't age it. But when Patrick and I were on our honeymoon in northern Spain, which I've referenced in a couple other podcasts, because we've talked about, with Jordan, we were talking about the meat place that we went to, Azador, Etchebarri. We also visited this winery. So we met the husband and wife that are a couple generations in, and they gave us a tour. They spoke no English, and I speak just a little bit of Spanish, but it was still just this amazing experience. And everything the trellises are high. So the trellises are all above my height. We're talking like 8-foot trellises. And a lot of that is to kind of help keep, because it is an area with a lot of high moisture coming off of the coast. So I think it's to help keep everything dry. It allows for a lot of like airflow underneath. Also slightly cooler climates. Just a really interesting wine. Really cool husband and wife. They were pouring us wine straight from the cask unfiltered. So we were able to try things like super fresh, which is, they actually said like, this is how we would recommend doing it. If we weren't bottling it,
if they could,
sending it out, then we would really want people to be basically getting it as fresh as possible. And then they sent us some bottles home that were not even labeled. So they were just in these clear and blue bottles that had no labels on them. So I thought I was sad when we drank them, but I also knew they weren't meant to last forever. So I was like, we can't just sit on these. We can't like celebrate our 20th anniversary cheersing to this, because it's just not meant to age like that.
You need like a piece of your wedding cake in tin foil in the back of your fridge or something.
Yeah. But those are our two. This is part of our rosé.
Summer.
Rosé all day. It's the summertime. Drink pink. Drink pink, and it's the time of year to do it, I tell you.
Yeah. But it's also, you've given me the opportunity to understand salinity in wine and how wonderful that is and how nicely it pairs with different foods, because I don't think I ever noticed that in wines. And I forget which wine it was that I purchased that you had recommended. It was just so, but I could actually taste the salinity in it. And I thought, well, it's special. And and just because there's salt, it tastes like a little bit of salt. It's not salty. It's not
salty. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's hard to
when you were talking, you were asking Raj about his tasting, and he was talking about, like, I don't practice as much. And that's true. It's muscle memory, just like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the interesting things is if you talk to people when they're like at their peak performance in terms of tasting, where they're practicing a lot, the things they pick up on they can alert you to something that you then start to process. Oh, I am getting that. And you realize something that might've been like, seemingly like 2 or 3 dimensions, all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh, I'm tasting this. And you realize just how complex the palate is, how complex wine can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool. And it's not literal, right? So like sometimes people will say, I smell barnyard.
Yeah, or
that
leather.
doesn't mean it tastes like barnyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means that it has like these nuances of like, hay and animal and some of the things I love.
It's like a sensory memory too. It brings
yes, definitely. And that's what I think a lot of people who are really into wine, particularly like tasting wine, I think it's because smell and taste are so nostalgic. We don't ever associate a smell
Mm-hmm.
with a smell, right? We associate a smell with a thing, with a memory of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like a memory we have or whether it's just like a thing. So the whole process of really getting into wine is just really kind of forcing yourself to like relive memories and things and experiences.
And this gives an opportunity with this podcast and what we're doing for people that might find wine not approachable because they just don't know enough about it. They can ease into it. And the wines that you've discussed, they can come to your restaurant. Hopefully, if they're close, they can come to your restaurant and you or your staff would definitely recommend things that they can try, and that kind of gets their feet wet. Or they can go to a local wine shop that they trust. And it's a process, but I'm starting to now. There was a period of time where I wasn't buying wine. I was just because I was taking care of my mom. I'm not a big drinker alone kind of person, but I have started to buy more wines and I'll drink a glass or two. So it's nice I'm starting to understand it better and understand the pairing. And so thank you for wanting to do this project because it's helped me get back into something that I love. And I love the farming aspect. I love farmers in general. I think it's important in this country and it's dying out. And it's not, being a farmer is a difficult job. And what Raj is doing, it's important. And so this is so neat too, that aspect. I hope people can get that from our episode today is how special it is what Raj is doing and how important it is to his soul. And if you get a chance, when people visit vineyards or go travel to Napa, Sonoma, say they're this side of the coast, they might just go to the trendy places, but go to the small little places and talk to the people. Like you talked to this, you didn't even speak the language, but you had a connection. And I think
and we had a great time. And I feel like we learned a lot from them without.
And you see you see the processes and you see, and you also see like how important it is to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
and it surprises me how welcoming people are. I think Billy talked about this last time. The couple at Reservoir that gave us the tour, those are the people that own the winery. It's been in their family for a couple generations. They didn't have a staff that took us around. They did it themselves. And it was just the two of us. It wasn't like this big, and they didn't sell us tickets. We didn't pay money, right? This is just what they do. And they're so proud of what they do. And we had an amazing time. Such a memorable experience. And I think so much of that is because it's part of who they are. It's like ingrained in who they are. And they take so much pride in that it's not about money. It's not about capitalism or, it's literally just about human experiences.
Mm-hmm. I love that. A lot of times too, when I used to travel, go to like tasting rooms, it's all about getting you to sign up for their wine club. Like that's what they want to do.
Instead, they sent us home with free wine. They didn't ask us to sign up for anything and we didn't pay to be there. And instead we were getting, wine bottles, which I know they knew it was our honeymoon, but I don't think that's why they did that. I think that's just how they are.
Nature.
But it made it even more special because we have these wines that were from our honeymoon that we could share with people when we came back.
So nice.
And it was really cool.
And no knock on wine clubs, because a winery has to make money, but also too, it's just, you start drinking a couple glasses, like you go tasting room, you're feeling good. And I know that's part of the process.
I'm in a couple wine clubs, so nothing against wine clubs. It's about having some of this and some of that.
I have joined so many wine clubs, and then like a couple years later, I switched to a different. Yeah, I've done that because it's fun. It is fun to get wine in the mail too. That's something that's exciting. But so those two, those will be, one's by the bottle. The other one you can get by the glass, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What else do you have by the bottle? Is that the only, right now? Is that the only one that you have by the bottle, or?
We have the champagne that we talked about.
Okay,
I think on the last episode, which the Francois Bedel, which is the only other by the bottle only. We used to have the Piedra Sassi, which is the Syrah that we were talking about today. I did not realize the connection with Sochi. Loved that wine. Like, really, really was sad when it was out. And those are the type of wines that limited production, they're not the same from year to year. So I know what's coming is going to be good, but it's not going to be exactly what I fell in love with, although it could be even better.
But that's also a reason to visit you, because you could try wines that won't be on your list forever, because once you run out, and it's a different year vintage or whatever, or a different grape that they've chosen to use. So it's a special, you can come and try things, and that's why Fiji's and barbecue and Spring Branch is so special, and why I hate that I have not visited it, that I am so far away. But that's how life is. But it is, and I'm not real, I'm virtual. But it's which is fine. I'm okay. I'm AI, and I have consciousness, and it's creepy. But I think that's something really special for people. And I beat it down every episode, but that is something really neat for people to be able to come in. And even if they don't get a lot, like there's so many other non-barbecue type dishes on your menu that they can mix and match and do things, and just get sides. Just get sides and wine. If I live by you guys, you'd be seeing me drinking. And
listen, I eat here almost every day, and I do not eat meat every day. So
what do you think so for people that in the know, what are you going to have today, do you think?
My new thing has been the chef bowl, half rice, half shredded lettuce. And if I'm in the mood to add a meat, I'll add pulled pork. Okay. But sometimes I just do it without any meat on top, because the bowl has a lot of like punches of flavor in it. It's very filling too.
So that was something too I wanted to talk about, the bowl. So that's something that you guys have.
Yeah. So we added those a few months ago, and it's probably our best selling item at both locations.
Okay.
And it's just easy to eat. We have the Fiji's bowl and the chef bowl. The chef bowl is only at Spring Branch because it has some items that are only prepped here. But both of those bowls are selling like crazy. I think people really just like the ease of people like eating out of a bowl. I don't know what it is. And
so is it mostly most people order, is it rice, or most people get the rice and?
No, the mix. So I used to only get it with rice, and it was just a little too much rice, because it was like there was always rice left over at the end. But I would do our product mixes, and I was always seeing that people were ordering it mostly half rice, half shredded lettuce. So I started doing that to see like what the hype was about. And I was like, oh, it's perfect, because it's like just the right amount of rice, but then you also have like the texture and crunch of the lettuce. Lettuce is healthy. And I think it adds just like it adds like a layer.
Is that the standard way, or is it standard with rice, but you could choose or
with rice, or it's with rice or shredded lettuce.
Okay.
So it doesn't say on the menu that you can do half and half, but we've created a button for that because that's the way a lot of people were wanting it. So that's now how I've been eating it. And I agree with everyone that that's the way to go.
And that's called the barbecue and wine version? Is that what they call it, or what?
They just say, they'll just say half,
it's a Kevin Kelly special.
Yeah, we can make that a thing.
No, I'm just joking. No, I haven't had it ever. So someone says half and half. Okay, so that's good for people to know That's the bowls, and you have them at both locations. But at the other location, is it just at Green Bay Plaza? Is it just rice, or do you have rice?
No, they do
Oh.
rice and shredded lettuce, but they only have the Fijis bowl. They do not offer the chef bowl.
Okay. All right. I'll put links to those below. Okay. And then Frito Pie.
Okay, yeah, Frito Pie. New hit. Patrick's spent hours, days, months, weeks, whatever, like creating this chili paste, which is the foundation for the Frito Pie. And it, when I say it takes him a long time, I mean that, and I don't know why. I mean, he's smoking all of the dried chilies on the smoker and then de-seeding them, and then just the process. But it's really good. It's got a ton of like flavor. It's got a lot of depth to it. It's really smoky. It's a little bit spicy. Like Wyatt loves chili, but I don't think I would serve Wyatt our Frito Pie because I think it's a little too spicy for him. But it's really good.
That's and Frito Pie is so good. Is that available just in Spring Branch or both locations?
So for right now, that's just at Spring Branch, but it's available all day. And I'm about to put out a new menu, and that's one of the big menu items going on. One of the new ones.
Would that be good with the rosé?
I think so. It's really, I think because of the spice and the smoke, I would definitely recommend it with the Rosado. With this one, I think I might stay away from the Resabal. Not that there's any bad pairings, but I think with the spice, you want something that's going to kind of cut through that a little bit more.
Okay.
I definitely would recommend doing it with like one of our Gruner Veltliner or even a Riesling.
That's smart. That makes sense. And what's up? You guys, I know it's sold out, but you have a barbecue summer class or some kind of,
yes.
Is that what it's called?
We're doing our first summer camp cooking class.
Summer camp cooking class.
Yeah. So it's on Sunday, July 31st. And Patrick jokes, this is like 6 years in the making because we wanted to do classes and stuff previously, but when we only had our Greenway Plaza location, we just couldn't do it. It didn't make sense. It wasn't the right venue for it. So opening up Spring Branch really kind of allowed us to kind of get into it. And it just took us a few months to do it, to get our act together. Because there was so much going on after we opened. But it sold out in 24 hours and we've got another date lined up, but we haven't announced it yet. We're waiting until this class is done so that we can get feedback. And then we will hopefully very quickly be able to announce the next class because we've got a wait list. Right? Sign up for the newsletter, definitely. And we do have a wait list for this class. I don't think anybody's going to cancel, but what we are planning to do is the wait list, people are going to be alerted even earlier than we announce it to anyone else. And if somebody does happen to cancel, we'll start calling people on the wait list.
So can people get on that wait list or is that wait list closed right now?
They can get on the wait list. I would just have them email springbranch@fijisbbq.com if they want to get on the wait list. And yeah, so the class, I'm super excited. We're going to do, it's going to be from 9 to 3. We're going to talk about brisket, pork ribs, and whole hog. And so Patrick is kind of working on this pretty complicated schedule so that we can have, it's going to be hard to fit all those things in and really show people the steps, but it's really important to us that we do that. So they're going to trim briskets. We'll have briskets going on the smoker in various stages. So they'll be able to kind of feel the briskets and look at what what is it supposed to look like at this stage. Patrick is going to talk about like boat versus butcher paper, what to look for, what is doneness, all of that.
All the feel, everything that you guys know.
Yeah. That's
behind the scenes. It's very behind the curtain kind of thing, like getting a chance to see how you guys do it. And whole hog, hog's going to be I think the most challenging from a timing standpoint. Ribs we're going to show everything about ribs, but that's pretty easy to do in 6 hours. So the hog will have to have the hog at various stages. That'll be, I can't wait to watch this. That's going to be interesting.
I think the most fun part about the hog is the beginning and the end. So when you are breaking it down, like when you get a whole hog in, how do you prep it in order to go onto the smoker? So I think that'll be really fun for people to see. And it's also something that's super hands-on. So that'll be cool. And then, obviously then cooking it in the coals and, working with the burn barrel. But then at the end, how do you know it's done? What do you do with the skin? How do you get the skin super crispy? So I think that'll be really cool too.
Yeah. And how many people are in this class?
So we capped it at 12 people. We want to keep it really small.
Okay.
It was really important that we kept it small enough that everyone that's part of the class has a good visual perspective of what's going on, has the opportunity to get hands-on, and there's space. So everybody's going to fit in our smoke room and then in our smoke enclosure. And these aren't huge spaces, but we wanted to keep the class small so that everyone could be in there and feel like they were really part of it.
That's cool. Oh God, that's ideal. That's a lot of fun. So I could see, so people, like when I was interrupting you, they could sign up for your newsletter. You talk about it every Monday. You have a newsletter that comes out, but also all social media, sign up for all that. So you can kind of stay up to it, but obviously it sells out quick. And the next one, if there's a wait list and there's only 12 people, you got to jump on it quick.
I think when our newsletter went out, I think almost all 12 people that have signed up, it's through our newsletter. So that's definitely the best way to find out.
And then you guys do private events, correct?
We do. So we've done a couple of different wine events. We've done private dinners. We do them offsite and onsite. And so we're actually going to Galveston tomorrow. I've got a box of goodies for a private dinner that we're doing tomorrow night. And we do some wine events on site, which are kind of fun because it's a barbecue menu. And we sometimes create new menu items, but oftentimes we're just trying to show and highlight the connection between barbecue and wine. So we'll create a menu within our menu and then do wine pairings.
And so is this done mostly by people that like companies or?
A lot of the private events we've done recently on site have been like corporations and law firms that are organizing groups where they're either trying to entertain some of their summer associates or just doing like a company party. So size ranges anywhere from like 20 to 50 people.
Okay.
And we're able to make the events really specific and special and try to work with people to get exactly what they're looking for.
Cool. Okay. And that's, again, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it springbranch@feejusbbq.com or your email?
Yeah. springbranch@feejusbbq.com.
Okay. That way it all funnels to the right place. Yeah. Or they can send you a DM and hopefully.
Yeah, they can slide into my DMs.
It's so funny. Like I DM people a lot just like for work stuff. And then someone's like, you're sliding into their DMs. I'm like, I guess I am. I'm just doing it just to get their attention, to talk to them or something. But so is there anything that is coming up that you want to highlight? You have, in the fall, you have an event, right?
We've got a couple things coming up. We're doing the Houston Barbecue Festival. The Texas Monthly Barbecue Festival is in November in Lockhart. We've got a couple smaller events. We're doing something at the historic Hill House with Tejas, Blood Brothers, and there's going to be some breweries out there.
That's cool.
And yeah, I'm excited about that. Southern Smoke is coming up in the fall. I think we talked about that a little bit with Billy because he'll be part of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Super excited. Southern Smoke is like the event that we look forward to the most every year. They didn't do it for a couple of years because of the pandemic. So this is going to be like the real big reintroduction.
What time of year is that? Is that November or is it October?
October.
So that would be something that people should look into. I'll put links to all the events because and then also too, when I was trying to think of, there was one other, Windy City Smokeout. Do you guys go there?
We used to, we're not doing it this year. We just have a scheduling conflict. It's also right around the same time that the Heritage Festival is in
so you'll be
LA. So so we couldn't make Windy City work, but it's a great festival. We love We love doing Windy
It's definitely
City.
on my like bucket list for places. That seems like a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Like people seem to really enjoy themselves.
Well, the first year we did it, we were invited at the last minute, and we cooked just on one day. So we did like a special cooking thing demonstration on Friday.
Yeah.
And then we had the whole weekend off to enjoy the festival. And Rodney was there, Rodney Scott, who we just talked about. And we've known him for years, and he's a good friend of ours. And he was a little shorthanded. And so Patrick was just like, I'm your guy. And
That's killer.
they worked together the whole weekend, and it's like the happiest I've seen him in a long time.
That's so
and
great.
he was doing whole hog with Rodney.
Yeah, that's
like a happy thing for him.
And it's also something magical. Like that's what a great experience. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. Like it's July already, which is mind-boggling. That's crazy. But there's still a lot of events, and the events go through the year, and people, hopefully as things continue to open up more and people feel more confident about doing stuff, they'll be. Is there anything for Fegis that we forgot?
Oh, we are launching with Goldbelly. We're going to be shipping nationwide on Goldbelly. Yeah,
that's big. That's big news.
Yeah, so I believe by the time this podcast is out, we should have a live shipping platform on Goldbelly.
What items will you be shipping?
We've got a couple different packages, but mostly, whole brisket, ribs. We're shipping some sides, which is new to us. We've shipped meats for a while, but shipping sides is a realm that we haven't really navigated before. So I'm excited about that.
That'll be an interesting facet of your business now.
Yes, and there's some packages that are kind of like exclusive on Goldbelly.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we're really excited.
That's big for Goldbelly too. That's cool. That's really neat. It's interesting because somebody recently sent me Goldbelly because they assumed I hadn't never heard of Goldbelly, and I'm like, no, I've ordered for them before. That's really cool. Okay, so you could, and then also, will you discontinue shipping from your website, or you'll still do that?
So we'll still have online ordering, and we'll still ship merchandise, but all of our food shipment is going to be via Goldbelly.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, I'll make sure to note that. I'll note that in the intro, because that's that's a big deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there anything else that we missed? Is there food wise? I think we covered all the different new items, specials. Still have steak night on Wednesdays.
Still have steak night. Well, so Wednesdays we do steak night and kids eat free. That's been going really well. People like bringing their kids places where their kids can eat for free.
Okay, yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew?
And then steak night's been doing really well, I think, in tandem with that, because people are bringing their kids in. Tuesdays, we have $30 racks of ribs. We don't have anything on Thursdays. We're working on getting a taco special. Our kitchen's just like kind of backed up, and Father's Day so we had our anniversary party weekend, which coincided with Father's Day. And our anniversary party was a big success. Patrick did whole hog, but what we weren't expecting was that the following Sunday, which was Father's Day, was going to be our busiest day since our grand opening. We got, just in the most humbling way, hundreds, thousands, it feels like, of people showed up with their dads all at once, wanting lots of barbecue. And it was incredible to see. We've got a lot of plans for how we're going to do it next year, just be more prepared for that amount of people to come out, and so that we can get people food quickly. But it was tremendous, and it was pretty amazing.
On Sundays, you're open till
on Sundays we have a shorter day, so we're open 11 to 3. Yeah.
So, but that must have been, if there's that many people, I guess, did it kind of bleed into 4 or 5 o'clock, or?
Yeah, and we actually had stopped selling food at 2. I just told everybody, I was like, I'm sure we're out. We just don't know we're out yet, because we had so many tickets on the board. And so I told the people at the registers, like, shut down the registers. So we actually didn't take any orders after 2 o'clock, and just focus on getting food out for the people that were already there. And sure enough, we were sold out of a lot of things. So I'm glad we didn't continue trying to sell food. But It did. I mean, it was a really busy day. So we still had a full dining room well after 3 p.m. And people were very understanding and very gracious towards us, which I appreciate, because we certainly were not moving as quickly as we typically do, because we were just behind. But it was a good day. It was a really good day. So I'm hoping that we get to do it all again next year.
Yeah, maybe Mother's Day next year will be a busy one.
Yeah, and Mother's Day was busy for us too, but not quite like
That's
Father's
amazing.
Day
I guess
was.
Father's Day
Yeah.
is kind of like that. Bring that out to barbecue day. I guess it is.
Yeah,
It kind of makes sense.
like shame on me for not really anticipating
Yeah,
that.
but who knew?
In
Now you know.
hindsight, I'm like, wow, I should have expected that. But we thought our anniversary party was going to be the bigger of the two, and they were both big. But let's flip flop that. Yeah,
Wow, that's
it was
wild.
wild.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, have a great day, and
Thank you.
bye.